Today's conversation is sponsored by First Generation Capital Partners. If you're an accredited investor and you want to know about how we're helping other accredited investors keep more of their income, go to firstgencp.com/going long.
So how many years do you think that you need to beat at least me at NBA 2K?
You're listening to the Going Long podcast with Billy Keels, the #1 podcast for long-distance real asset investing.
Welcome to the Going Long podcast. We're back once again to continue to help to educate you so you feel much more comfortable as well as confident investing beyond your backyard. And yes, I'm your host, Billy Keels. Yes, I guess I can call myself the host, but you're going to find out really, really quickly because today's the 300th episode. Something amazing has happened today. Like literally something amazing has happened today. But just really quickly also too, because I have to say this. If you have not already left honest written review or a rating, feel free to do that. And for those of you that continue to share across social media, all the cool things with the Going Long podcast and tagging us, really, really appreciate that. Continue to keep it up. You bring in new people to the Going Long family. We really, really appreciate that about you. And if you've ever wanted to check out any of the previous episodes, go to firstgencp.com/going long. And you can check out every single episode, the transcript, the video, the audio, every single thing that you want. So here's what I was saying. I really want to get into today's episode because for the very first time, we have literally three-peat guests. This is the third time that these two amazing people have been on the show, and you're going to love it. If you didn't hear episode 100, well, you're going to want to go listen to that. If you didn't hear 200, you're definitely going to want to go and listen to that. And if you've never heard me be on the other side of the microphone, then today is the day, because today's guests, once again, of episode 300 of the Going Long podcast are Mr. and Mr. Mini-Keels. And we're going to get to that just after this. Are you a busy, high-paid professional? Someone that in the previous 2 years has earned $200,000 and is expected to earn $200,000 this year? Or maybe if you filed jointly, previously you've earned $300,000 the previous 2 years and you're also expected to do that this year. Or maybe if not, either individually or jointly, you have $1 million in net worth, not including your primary residence. If you meet any of these criteria, then you're someone that the IRS considers to be an accredited investor. That probably means you're someone like an enterprise software sales executive. You may be an executive in a major corporation. You may be a doctor. You may be a lawyer, maybe a high-paid consultant. You may even work for a major sports franchise. The thing I know you have in common is that you continue to do the hard work. Like you're doing 100% of the work and you're only bringing home 50% of the reward because you continue to get crushed by your income taxes. If you are tired of this situation and you're looking for a new solution, then go to firstgencp.com/going long. When you get there, that's going to help you to start the journey so that you can begin to take back control of your taxes, take control of your time. And then also that means you're going to be able to spend more of the time that you want with the people that you love the most. And that is the way that you're going to get the personal freedom that you're looking for. So if you're looking to take back control, go ahead and go to firstgencp.com/going long and see how we can help you today. So if you have ever wanted to know how sweet it feels to be a three-peat champion as well as guest on the Going Long podcast, then guess what? Today's the episode that you are going to want to listen and watch until the very last word. I promise. You know why? Well, because today's guests for this special 300th episode are not only masters of understanding cash flow, they also speak more languages than half the globe. They are amazing, excellent students. They are soon to be probably professional basketball players and team owners. It's kind of was my little bit of a hope. And you know what? They are the only three-peat guests on the Going Long podcast. And we're going to do something very, very different today because you know what? For the very first time ever, I'm going to be answering the question. But if you want to know all about that, then you really, really, really are going to want to listen to today's guest because it gives me great pleasure to welcome back to the Going Long podcast, Mr. and Mr. Mini-Keels. Welcome to the show again for the third time, guys. How's it going?
It's fine. And you?
You know what? This gives me so much positive energy. You all have absolutely no idea. So I'm very, very thankful that the two of you have decided to share well, you guys are going to ask me some questions today. We're going to do things a little bit different. Just in general, how things going, guys? It's nice to be back. You're the only, can you guys imagine that? You're the only guests who have ever been here 3 times. Episode 100, episode 200, and now back for episode 300. Who would have ever thought back in June of 2020 that we would be here at episode 300? What do you guys think about that?
I think that's pretty nice that we are having the chance of being 3 times on our podcast.
Well, I think that.
Thank you for inviting us for the 3rd time.
You know what? It is my pleasure. It's so much fun for me. And then, you know what? Everyone loves being able to hear from you guys. And by the way, if you've not listened to episode 200 or episode 100, I'm going to really suggest that you go back because these guys are pretty amazing and you're going to hear some amazing things. They have like already blown me away. Like by the time the ages that they are, it took me until I was in my 40s to understand the things that these guys already understand. But anyway, so listen, guys, we're going to do something very different today because for the first time ever, we're going to switch roles. Because I know that you guys, when you agreed to be here as the guests on episode 300 of the Going Long podcast with yours truly, Billy Keels, you also agreed to do something a little bit differently because no one has ever asked me all the questions. But today, not only are you all the special guests, but in reality, you're really the hosts because you all have some special questions that you have prepared in advance that, well, I guess I'm going to find out what they are now. Here we go. A little bit nervous. So, guys, I would love to start out with, who should we start out? We should probably start out with the big Mini-Keels because, well, just being the biggest of the 2 or the oldest of the 2, we're going to let you go first today. And that means that Mini-Keels gets to finish things up. So here we go, guys. You are now officially, I'm going to pass you the baton like they do in relay races. You are now the hosts of the Going Long podcast. So over to big Mini-Keels. What's your first question, man?
First of all, good afternoon. I'm really grateful for having you as a guest, Billy Keels. And there goes my first question. What and when was your first job and how much did you earn by doing that?
Well, you are such a wonderful host. I really appreciate the warm welcome. You've made me feel very, very welcome. And so you want to know when was my very first job? What was it? And how much did I earn? That's like, you're kind of asking like 3 questions in one, but since you're the host, I guess I'll answer all of them. So the very first job that I ever officially had, well, you know, growing up in the United States, a lot of times you have a paper route. And the very first job that I had, I think I was just right around 12 years old. I was delivering a community newspaper. And at that community newspaper, I want to say that they paid me like 4 or 5 cents per newspaper that I actually they would come to my house. I would wrap them up in a piece of paper and plastic, and then I would get on my bicycle and I would go throw them onto people's front porch. So that was the very first job that I had. I was just at 12. I guess I was really wanting to work. And I had some focus and I was delivering newspapers and I was delivering that for a local community newspaper. And it's very typical in the United States. So hopefully that answers your question and gives you a little bit more insight. And yes, I was literally working for less than 5 cents per paper that was delivered. It's pretty amazing.
All right. I'm going to get in the speech for one moment. That my question is, what was your first and when was your first job that you really they really paid you for you living in a house or an apartment?
Oh, wow. So this is a follow-up question from Mini-Keels. So what was the first job that I ever had when I was working in a house and apartment? So like when I was like an adult?
Yes.
Oh, wow. That's a whole different kind of question. Yeah. So my very first job that I ever had as an adult when I wasn't living at my house, actually it was pretty interesting because I was living with some friends who are still wonderful friends to this day and live out in California, and they're absolutely amazing. I had an internship, and an internship is like when you work for the summertime, and I would travel. I was working for an insurance company, and I was a claims adjuster. So what that means is when people's cars like got run into or had an accident, they would come into where I was working, and I would walk around the car, and I would actually see what the problems were. I would diagnose the problems, and I would tell people how much the insurance company was going to pay for their claim or for the damage that was on their car.
Like sorry, continue.
Go ahead.
Like a CSI, but only with the paper of the insurance, right?
Yeah, sort of like a CSI, but only with the insurance paper. So I'm going to answer one other question. So I live with a really good friend of mine from college. And this was like the first job where I was really after college and I was working and traveling. So this very first job, I had to move to St. Louis, Missouri. In the very beginning, I lived with a good friend of mine and his family. They were very nice. And that was the job that allowed your daddy from Columbus, Ohio, to like travel around the world and see 58 different countries. And I did that in 5 years. So in 5 years, I saw 58 countries. It was after I finished college. I had 2 degrees from college, and I was living with my buddy and his family in the very beginning. And then eventually I ended up getting my own place. I was living in St. Louis, Missouri, and I was traveling about 25 to 28 days a month. But that was my first, like, I guess, real job.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, of course. So hopefully that answers the first question. But I think that was still just the first question. I think we still have a couple of other questions to go.
Yes.
Mini-Keels, you're up.
Yep. This is the second question. My big question is, why did you decide to invite us as your third time guest in episode 300? Because you could invite other people, like other family of yours, but you always decide to invite us.
Well, that's a really, really great question. And you know what? As I watch the two of you grow up to be an amazing, amazing young men, every single time that I get to ask you questions, but this time you're asking me questions, it's fantastic to be able to see how much you have learned, how much you have grown, the wonderful, wonderful young men that you are becoming. And here's the other thing. Since it's kind of my show, I'm allowed to invite whoever I want. And so, I love being able to share you guys with so many people around the globe, because there's like a lot of people that listen to this podcast in a bunch of different countries all around the world. And even though they never see you guys, they still hear you. And so as your father, it brings me great, great joy. I'm very, very proud of the two of you. I love the two of you so much. And because this is my show, I love being able to have the two of you come back and share your knowledge with me. But this time, you're asking me the question. So that's why I asked the two of you to join me for episode 300. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you very much. And I love you very much. So I guess that means that, it's probably now time for question number 3. So we're going to go back over to Big Mr Mini-Keels. So what is question number 3?
Yes, indeed. It's time for question number 3. Why did you decide to create your own company?
Why did I decide to create my own company? Wow, that's a really good question. So I think you both know that I spent a really long time working for really big companies. And I remember even when you guys were little, like the last big company I worked for, we used to go and you guys would look at the Mediterranean Sea and run around the office and just have fun. You guys remember when you used to run around the office like that?
Yeah, yes.
Yes, I know. So one of the things that I recognized was that although I really did like working for those really big companies and they were able to help us to do a lot of things and provided us lots of time, there was also a point in my life that you guys know that I was doing a lot of traveling. I was always doing so many different things for you guys, for the family, and for ourselves, that I realized that, even though I was still doing all of that stuff, that something inside of me, eventually I knew that I wanted to also be completely in control of my time. Because although it was working for a really big company and was able to make probably a lot of money at the time, there was also, over that period of time, there were a lot of time and a lot of hours that I had to dedicate to that. And so I knew that eventually I wanted to work for on my own. I knew that I wanted to start my own company, be able to set the rules in the way that I wanted to be able to do, and serve the people that I knew that I wanted to serve, people that gave us lots of positive energy and love, and also we're being able to help them. So why did I start my own company? Well, because I knew that I wanted to be completely in control of my time, taking the good and the kind of not so good that goes along with that, but also knowing that when I had my own company, that I would be able to dedicate more time to you guys and also be able to serve the people that our company loves serving. So does that answer your question, or you feel like you have some other questions to follow up on that?
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. All right. Well, I appreciate that. So are we on to the next question then? Is this question number 4?
I don't know. Yes, we're going up for question number 4.
All right.
And question number 4 is, what do you like about FGCP, your new company? And how is it going in Texas with your machines?
Yes. So FGCP, First Generation Capital Partners. How is it going with First Generation Capital Partners? Well, let's just say that First Generation Capital Partners, as you guys know, is the company that Daddy's founded, and it is the company that we continue to serve. Things are going, I would say, very well. We have new investor family members that we're serving at a very high level. They are very happy. We actually just had our very first meeting recently with all of our investor family members, and that was really, really fun and informative. So that was fun, and it was very exclusive. So unless you're an investor family member, I don't know if you'll get that information, or if other people will get that information, but our investor family members did get that. And the things and how they're going in Texas, as you asked. So things are going very, very well. I appreciate you asking. And I remember you guys were even like, when I was visiting, you guys were saying, "Oh, cool, Daddy," and all this other kind of good stuff. So very, very good question. So FGCP, First Generation Capital Partners, going very well. We are enjoying serving our investor family members. We're serving more of them every day, and things are going pretty well in Texas. Everybody seems to be very happy. So thank you for asking such an informative question. That was really good, by the way. Deep question. So anything else? Did you have a follow up to that? Or is it next? Are we on to next question number 5?
We are on to the next question.
Question number 5. Okay, we're almost done, everybody. Yes, go ahead.
An interesting question.
Yes.
I would like to know, and to other people to know, what kind of product does your companies can give to your customers?
Wow. So what do we do so what kind of products? Okay, this is really interesting. So this kind of sounds like the machine, but if it's okay with you, I'm going to maybe answer this in a little bit of a different way, because our customers, as you say, our clients, our investor family members, what we are always looking to do at First Generation Capital Partners is we look to provide them with something that the two of you, remember that game we used to play, or that we used to play? I guess you both know how to play it pretty well. Cash flow. Huh?
Yeah. Cash flow for kids. Yes.
There you go. Cash flow for kids. Exactly. So first and foremost, the services and products that we provide are always going to look to provide cash flow to our investor family members, because I believe cash flow is really, really important. And because I also used to be someone who paid a whole lot in income tax, like a lot in income tax, we also look for things that are very income tax efficient and tax efficient as much as possible. And so if anybody's listening and they want to know the difference between those two, feel free to just shoot me an email or something like that, and we can talk about the difference. But the things that we continue to do, and Mini-Keels asked the question earlier, like the machine stuff, they're great cash flow and they're very tax efficient. And we also, more importantly, want to make sure that they're aligned with what our investor family members want, which means that they want to, for instance, make more of their money. They want to keep more of their money so that they can do really cool things like I get to do with the two of you, like being here, talking, and investing more of their time together. So it's probably a long answer to your question, but does that answer your question, sir?
Yes, it does.
Okay. All right. Fantastic. These guys are doing lots of silly faces that they know no one is ever going to see, which is actually pretty funny. And so now it's time for question number 6. This is our last question, and we really appreciate this. Is difficult being on this side of the camera and answering the questions. But go right ahead. Last question. Question number 6.
So I would say that not of the last questions of the podcast, but for the last question, I wanted to ask, what did you get to Barcelona and what was the reason?
Oh, when did I come to Barcelona? Listen to this. This is what a question this is. Okay, so yeah, so this is getting back into life, right? So life and all this kind of stuff. So when did I come to Barcelona? Well, the very first time that I came to Barcelona, believe it or not, was in 1995. I came to Barcelona. It was an absolutely amazing city. I was super young at the time, and I really, really liked it. It was such an amazing city. The Olympics had just been here in 1990.
Oh,
There you go. Yeah, I thought that you guys knew a little bit of something about the Dream Team. So I just been to Barcelona in 1995. Really, really, really enjoyed it. And I think the two of you know, when I was living and working in France, I met somebody who was actually from Barcelona. She happens to be your mommy. And so when your mommy moved back to Barcelona, I eventually moved to Barcelona as well. So why did I show up to Barcelona? Well, because the woman that I knew was from Barcelona and was living back here in Barcelona, and Barcelona, because it has given me two of the most amazing individuals that I have ever met, or the most amazing individuals that I've ever met. The two of you, which, you know, I'm not going to say your names here because that's just what we do here when we're here together. Absolutely love being able to be in the place where the two of you were born, your birth town, and being able to do all kinds of really awesome things here in the Mediterranean. So that's when I got here in in July of 2005. That's why I got here. And I love being able to see the two of you grow into these amazing young men as you're traveling around the world, doing all kinds of stuff, and even making these really, really funny faces that only one person in the world is going to see, but that's okay. So, did I answer your question?
yes, you did. You did answer the question.
Okay, fantastic. So listen, it sounds like I've answered all the questions. So before that though, guys, I have to say something to you really quickly, and hopefully everybody has been enjoying this episode, this conversation. Yes?
I have one last question.
Oh, you have one last question. Uh-oh, this is a little bit unnerving.
So how many years do you think that you need to beat at least me at NBA 2K?
Okay, so can I just give can I tell people? So this is really funny. So listen, everybody. So as most of you know, since leaving the corporate world, one of my most exciting things that I love doing is playing. We have a brand new like PlayStation. And so the guys have they just completely pummel me every single time. I try to win, but I think that they really enjoy beating me. So basically I'm telling everybody, I'm playing a lot more video games than I have ever played in my entire life. And my sons are now putting me on the spot, asking me when I will ever win, because I don't ever win. They beat me all the time. They beat me constantly. And I think that they really, really enjoy it. So to answer your question, big guy, I'm going to keep working really, really hard. I am eventually going to get very, very good. And maybe just once or twice, I'm eventually going to win. So I'll keep doing the work. I'll get better. And maybe by episode 400, if you guys come back, if you'll join me again, we can tell everybody how much I am constantly beating you in the video games. So thank you for that question. Well, listen, I just have to do one thing, guys, because I want to just say thank you very, very much for deciding to not only join me on episode 300. Hopefully everybody that is watching and listening, more listening than watching, that you've really, really enjoyed the episode. I know I've had a lot of fun being able to answer these questions. I love being able to share this with my two favorite men on the entire planet. Guys, Daddy loves you so very much. You make me so proud. And I love the young men that you are becoming and the amazing men that you will be. So thank you so very much for joining me. I really appreciate it, guys. And listen, everybody who's watching and listening from all over the globe, hopefully you have enjoyed this, because this is BK. As I always like to say, take the episode, take the conversation, share it with your friends, share it with your family. When you have the opportunity to invest time with your two children like I get to do here. This is amazing. So share today's episode, share it with your family, share it with your friends. And while you're doing that, I'll be here preparing the very next conversation because I was going to get back to hosting the show. So until then, go out and make it a great day. And thank you very much.
Can I say a last thing?
Okay, well, hang on a second. Yes, you can say a last thing. Go right ahead.
And as you remember, hasta la próxima.
Hasta la próxima. Sounds great. Thanks, everybody. Make it a great day. And as they say, hasta la próxima. Ciao. Trust that you enjoyed today's conversation. And once again, today's conversation was sponsored by First Generation Capital Partners. If you're an accredited investor and want to find out more about how we're helping accredited investors to gain their personal freedom even faster, go to firstgencp.com/going long.